Let's talk about meal prep versus leftovers. Is there a difference? My opinion is no. They're one and the same. I saw a thread that spoke about what's the difference between meal prep and leftovers, and there are a bunch of answers about intention. That meal prep is intentionally creating meals for consumption for however many days, whereas leftovers is by chance. Here are my thoughts on that. There is intention, whether you have leftovers or you're prepping for however many days. The fact that you intentionally went to make a meal is argument that there is intention. You intended to feed yourself, whether it's for today, in the moment, one meal, or for the next couple of days. There's still intention involved. So this idea that they're different, no, they're not. Because you can meal prep. You meal prep, you are going to eat the same meal for however many days. They're leftovers, meaning you're going to reheat them some way in order to have them. Leftovers, whether you intentionally wanted to have extra so you can eat it at another meal, for example, making dinner like I'm making dinner right now, which I'm going to have leftovers so I can have something to eat tomorrow, or it was an accident. The point is, it's still done with some kind of intention. So there's no real difference between the two, and a lot of folks get hung up on these terms and trying to label and put their way of feeding themselves into some kind of category, and it screws them up. What's the point? You're trying to feed yourself. Who cares if it's leftover or you made some for a couple of days? The point is that as long as you are curious about food, you are interested in feeding yourself, nourishing yourself, then how it gets done, it gets done. So avoiding boxing yourself into labels means that you don't try to subscribe to any one thing. If meal prep works for you, where you're making meals for multiple days, by all means, do that. But if it's not, then why stress yourself about it and trying to fit into one of the categories? The other thing is, not everybody meal preps the same way. So you have folks who do meals intentionally with the intention of eating them however many days later. And you have folks who don't like eating the same meals repeatedly, so they then do what they call component prep, which is just prepping the ingredients like chopping up onions and bell peppers, or maybe seasoning your meat. And that gives them variety, or gives them the option to have different meal choices. So meal prep looks different for everybody. There's no one way to do it. There's no perfect way to do it. And I think the less we get hung, or the less we try to stick those labels on what you're doing, is the harder it is to be consistent. So that's the rant for today as I try to make these dumplings. Don't get hung up on whether you're doing meal prep or leftover. The fact is, if you intentionally go to make a meal, there's intention. If you intentionally go to make several meals for the day, there's intention. If you happen to have leftovers, even though that was not your intention, it's still a good thing. Unless you just don't like leftovers. But either way, it's not that big of a deal. There's no difference whether you eat the meal all in one go, or you have extra, or you made it with the intention of having extra. It's all leftovers. And I spoiled the dumpling. I spoiled the boiled dumpling. I'm trying to make spinach to put in my red peas, my vegan stew peas rather. And it's hella dry, but that's not the point. I'm trying to just share with you that meal prep and leftovers, there's no difference. Okay? If you found this helpful, by all means go and like, subscribe, and subscribe also to the Weekly Dose, my weekly newsletter where I share meal prep, cooking insights, and food for thought on ways to nourish yourself.